Hey everybody, it's Marcus here with GoodEReader.com, and today we're going to review the Bebook Club S. This is the brand new e-reader from Europe. Just to give you some quick stats, it's a 6-inch e-ink Pearl display. Resolution's 800 by 600. There's 2 gigs of internal memory, and you can expand that via the SD card here up to 32 gigs. On the bottom, here is the volume button. Volume up, down. Here is the mini USB. Power button. 3.5mm headphone jack. There's no speakers or anything like that, but here is the bottom of the unit here. There's a hard reset button, and basically underneath here is where the battery is. If you ever need to do a battery pull, you could unscrew those 2 screws here, and then the back of it just slides off. Sides, really not much going on. Same with the top. Everything is more or less relegated to the bottom of the device. Let's basically check out everything there is to check out here. It's D-pad, so up, down, left, right, and then the center button is your engage or OK button. Right here is our menu button, your back button, and then your page turns left and right. So let's check out what this unit has to offer on the software front of things. There's really no home button, which I found kind of irksome right away. You kind of have to exit and press the back button a bunch of times. Pretty minimalist. I'm just going to kind of zoom in on the screen here so you guys can see a little better. Fairly minimalist. It's not touch screen. Everything's navigated via the D-pad. The apps, fairly lackluster. There is a calendar, there is a clock, and there is a calculator. Not very much happening here at all. I don't really foresee myself using any of those 3 apps. The settings menu is really where all the action is. Lo and behold, we have a few things here called preferred application. And what do we have here? Well, you can associate EPUB files with 3 different programs bundled on the device. A PDF reader, FB reader, and Cool Reader. And you could associate FB2 files with FB Reader Cool Reader, CHM files, HTML FB Cool Reader. This is fairly cool. This is the only e-reader I've ever seen that lets you associate different e-book reading programs with multiple programs. Normally you're stuck with whatever embedded e-reading application that they have on the device. With this, both a Cool Reader and FB Reader handle books in totally different ways, and I'm going to show you what I mean right away. Also, you can associate PDF files too, but it's not on the menu. Firmware support for that is coming, but I will show you how newspapers and very complicated content and how that runs properly. So of course I have to hit the back button here. You also have something called default fonts. A lot of different fonts happening here. I kind of like this. There's over I think 20 different fonts that come with the unit by default, and this is fairly cool because most e-readers, say the Kobo Touch for instance, it really only has 8 default fonts. If you look at a lot of other competing e-readers, even Amazon, Barnes & Noble e-readers, they really don't have a lot of fonts that you can actually change physically. This is pretty solid in a respect that it has everything you need, from the Couriers to Arial, a lot of the Adobe formats. So this is kind of cool that you can tailor your experience. One of the last options on the setting menu that I found is very interesting is screen updates. Now, you may be used to e-readers that flicker every time you turn a page. With this, you can actually reduce the flicker to every 3, 5, 7, or 9 pages, or you can do it to always. So I'm going to do it to every 9 pages. Really not a huge fan of like all the flickering that's associated with turning pages. Incidentally, this device is compatible with Adobe Digital Editions, so you can feel free to procure your ebooks from any other ebook store that sells them in EPUB format. So Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, and a ton of others. You can simply buy them and then sync them to your device by plugging it in via the USB cable here on the bottom. Let's check out, I'm not going to show you sort of what everything else says, the user manual, the date, time zone. It's really rudimentary. But what I will show you is the ebook experience, because that's really the essence of the device here. You can make your own directories here. So there's no really way to make collections or anything like that. But you do have some options here. Mainly just to do like the flow of the device. So I've made 3 directories here. Bestsellers. English is really what came bundled with the device, so they included a few PDF files. And then newspapers. So let's look at first on bestsellers. I'm going to look at the new book, V is for Vengeance by one Sue Grafton. So you saw the books load pretty quickly. And look at this, I'm turning the pages and there is no flickering on the screen. For somebody that reads a lot of books like I do and reviews a lot of devices like I do, you saw that flickering that we just did. You see that every page. And I really dig the fact that I have control over the refresh rate of pages. Let's look at some ways that we can edit the text here. So I can first go to font family, and you have a number of font options here that I can change the font in the book. And both FB Reader and Cool Reader have different sort of fonts that you can change your experience here. You also have a ton of different ways to change your font sizes. So there's 17 really different ways that you can change the fonts here, including bold and italic. We'll just increase the font just a little bit. Alright, so it's kind of small here, but you can definitely do it the way that you want. It also goes from landscape to portrait mode fairly easy by going to rotate screen. It doesn't have an accelerometer or gyroscope, but it is pretty quick. So, fairly cool here. Let's check out some of the other settings here. You can also change your style. So this is where you do your line spacing, your margins, and things like that. You have a lot of different options. Again, about 7 or 5, 10, but 13 different ways that you can tailor it to your liking. Most e-readers give you maybe 3 or 4 at the most. Bebook really gives you a lot of these different ways to tailor your ebook reading experience in spades. Also, different encodings. Incidentally, the Bebook has built-in language support for around 20 different languages, from Spanish, French, German, Dutch, Japanese, Chinese, all that sort of stuff, even Canadian. So that is your traditional book experience. Let me just exit out of the style. Now there's really no way when you rotate your screen can you flip back to the perspective that you were just at. You kind of have to go to the full 360 degree way that they do it. So it's a little bit when you're trying to do things upside down. It's not as intuitive as I would have liked. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you an PDF file, and then I'll show you a newspaper. So here's one of the PDFs that came with the book. So fairly large with the text that I changed before. Let's maybe just go to 150%. So that was also fairly large. Let's go with the default. Okay. So this is just a standard PDF file. You can see we have some options here that we didn't see with the EPUB file. You can hide the margin. You can fit to page, fit to width, fit to height, and then different levels of zoom here. Okay, so you can see that I zoomed very, very far out. Let's try 200%. Okay, cool. So definitely with PDFs and EPUBs, you can really change your experience a lot. You also have under layout, you can do it to single page, scroll pages, or thumbnail view. You also have some tools here. So you can search for text within the book. You can add bookmarks, show hyperlinks, text to speech, which is kind of broken right now. Doesn't really work. I found it just froze the device. What's weird is there's an audio player here, but it's only in the settings. Like, it's not in the apps menu. It's sort of buried within these sub-menus on PDFs and EPUBs. Kind of an odd place to put it. Okay, let's look at something that's a little bit more complex. We have a copy here of the Wall Street Journal. This is the European edition. So you can see here that I've already resized everything, and you can scroll stuff pretty seamlessly. This is where the 800 megahertz processor really comes in. So you can read the whole article. So let's check out some options here. First of all, I'm going to click on fit to width. And you can see here that it's the default paper. I can scroll around with the D-pad, so you can get a sense of what the entire page looks like. Then I could further zoom in. Actually, I fairly zoomed out. Zoom in at 200. And here we go. You can see that the picture's in e-ink. Fairly cool. Doesn't look too bad, hey? Okay, so let's don't know what I pressed there. You can see the picture flickers, but not the text doesn't flicker as much, but that's the e-ink refresh rate for PDFs. But you can see that suddenly an a very complex PDF paper looks really good, and you notice that there's really no reflow options or anything like that. So I really dig the PDF experience. I find that I've loaded the same newspaper on various other e-readers, most recently the Sony PRS-T1, the Kobo Touch, and a lot of others, and I would say probably the Bebook Club S does the best job at getting complex images looking very well on PDF format with Bebook Club S. So if newspapers and complex things are your forte, and you don't really want to shell out, $450 on a Kindle DX or a Pocketbook 912 or 903, and you want a 6-inch one that's, you know, like $130 or so, Bebook Club S does it the best. So I've pretty well showed you everything that this device can do. You can see that it hasn't really lagged too much. It doesn't really crash. The first unit that we got was actually broken. It wouldn't get past the setup menu. The company did a really good job at getting me a replacement in just under a day. They pretty well FedExed it overnight, so it got here very quickly. So when I initially ordered it, it got here to Canada from the Netherlands in 2 days. So I was pretty happy about that. Again, I paid about $129 for it. You should buy this device if editing your EPUB experience and PDF experience matters a lot. I really dig the fact that you can edit the page refreshing, so it goes every 9 pages, every 3 pages, or always. That was really cool. Other than that, there really isn't a lot going on here. There's no Wi-Fi, no internet browser. You saw that we have like 3 very basic applications. My, Windows XP or 95 has better default apps that come with it. The settings menu is the saving grace. It has a lot of kind of cool things going on here. I'd say you should buy this device if your book experience really matters to you. And it gives you a lot of freedom to tap into other ecosystems, such as, like I mentioned before, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, any store that sells EPUB, you're good to go. So this has been a review of the Bebook Club S. You can catch our written review on this on the front page of our blog at goodereader.com/blog. And you can check out our other review videos on a wide array of other ebook readers and tablets at youtube.com/user/goodereader. So again, for goodereader.com, my name is Marcus. Everybody take care.